All right, so we can go ahead and call a meeting to order.
Yes.
I have Rod Thompson, Seth Lawrence, and Eric Forsberg. Myself, Shelley McDonald is absent tonight. And there are no, or actually, sorry, presentations. Let's go ahead with the presentation honoring the 2020 retirees. Oh, I lost a sound.
I
Sorry,
can't hear
it
Tom.
is on mute. Oh, we have a Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I just saw that.
Let's have Rod. Let's go ahead and have, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
There we go.
Pledge.
Like,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
everything.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric.
I missed that. Sorry. Okay, we did not take any action in closed session, and so now we will move to presentations honoring the 2020 retirees.
Very good. Thank you. This is always a fun moment, and unfortunately, we don't have the boardroom to present this, but we are honoring our certificated and classified employees who have retired. Let me just start by saying we are honoring 367 years of service tonight. That's how many, if you total amount of services, years of service for each employee, it's well over 300. That's pretty incredible.
67 years of service tonight. That's how many, if you total amount of services, years of service for each employee.
Just 1 second, I'm having some feedback. Hold on.
Incredible. 7 years of service tonight. That's how many, if you total amount of services, years of service for each employee. 1 second, I'm having some feedback. Hold on. 7 years of service tonight. That's how many, if you total service for each employee. 1 second, I'm having some feedback. Hold on.
All right, we'll try this again. There's a delay in my voice for like 10 seconds. So,
2 for the money.
yeah. 367 years of service is a lot of years. So very, very honored to present these. As always, our retirees get a hat.
So very, very honored.
Lets them into all events. And we have a bowl, last bowl for our staff as well.
Very, very honored for lets them into all events.
Being a recommendation from our tech director that if you could put yourselves on mute and maybe have one person as I present, because that's where the feedback is coming.
Recommendation from our tech director that if you guys could put yourselves on mute and maybe have one person as I present, because that's
okay.
Recommendation from our tech director that if you guys could put yourselves on mute and maybe have one person as I present, because that's okay.
Hey, just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute.
Going to be leaving the meeting and coming back in, so please be patient while we figure this out.
Going to be leaving the meeting and coming back. Going to be leaving the meeting and coming back.
Chris, are you there, Sinclair?
1 second, Rich.
It doesn't look like you're on. That may help the feedback.
1 second.
Chris, are you there, Sinclair?
Yeah, let me get on. 1 second, Rich.
It doesn't look like you're on. That may help the feedback.
I'm sorry. 1 second.
Chris, are you there, Sinclair?
Yeah, let me get on. 1 second, Rich. Sorry?
One second.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh,
Okay, we'll try this again.
Was that me?
Yeah, it was, Chris. It was you.
Because, Grace had sent me a YouTube link, and I think I had it opened up in a tab. And if that was me causing that, I sincerely apologize. I was sitting here laughing at you guys, not
Yeah.
knowing it was me the whole time.
I don't know. Maybe it was, but I think we got it
Well,
solved.
I'll tell you what, as soon as I closed the tab, it went away. So I'm not saying it's me, but
Okay. Well,
glad
thank
you
you.
live streamed that on YouTube.
All right. Well, 367 years of service. We're going to start with Lynette Corning. Lynette Corning is here for 20 years, started in 2020. She came to our district as a temporary business teacher, as an intern. She became probationary the next year. She actually was a volleyball coach for a year, class advisor for 2 years, annual advisor for 7 years, department chair for a year, avid site teacher, PLC leader. And in 2015, she became our director of CTE. And I will say she's done some phenomenal work to finish her career. She really, really enhanced our CTE program, and has and actually a leader in the state in regards to CTE. So she's been instrumental in development, the success of our CTE program. So we honor Lynette Corning for 20 years of service. Next up, we have Wes Hendricks. Wes Hendricks, 31 years of service after this year. Started in 1989 as a temporary ROP teacher. And he did that for a few years, and then he became a permanent teacher in 92, 93. During his tenure here, he was a girls' frosh basketball coach for 6 years, a track coach for 10 years. Of course, he was a cross-country coach for 19 years. Very dedicated. He was department chair for 5 years in the Performing and Visual Arts Department. He was instrumental in providing graphic arts service to our district for the last 15 years. In that capacity, he designed numerous holiday classic buttons, athletic programs, posters, performing arts programs, t-shirt designs. He did a lot in the print shop that was really amazing. Wes was the advisor and founder of the Outdoor Adventure Club, class advisor, many hours on his own time running with the students during summer. And he also helped with the basketball clock for many, many years. Wes Hendricks, 31 years. Nancy Kunow is here for 19 years. She actually started in 2001 and spent 6 years as a classified employee. And then she spent the last 13 years as a certificated employee. She started in 2000. In 2004, she was the next educational assistant substitute. She was hired in 2001 as an educational assistant for the Rebound program. And in 2007, she made the transition to teaching. She was hired to run our White House program, which is actually converted to our Achieve program, and will retire as our Achieve program teacher. 19 years, Nancy Kunow. Marianne Montandon, 28 total years in the district, 15 as a classified employee, and 13 as a teacher, certificated employee. Marianne was hired as a child care aide at Our Little House years ago, and was very instrumental in Our Little House. In 2007, she was hired as the temporary ROP child care teacher. At the end of 2014, when Our Little House was closed, Marianne became full-time CTE teacher in child care. And she's been doing that ever since. She's been instrumental in developing the occupations, child care occupations and child development program. And of course, many of our staff members had their children at Our Little House over the years, and Marianne was part of their everyday lives. So Marianne Montandon, 28 total years. Lonnie Scott, 18 total years. Lonnie was started as a district as a temporary ROP teacher in physical therapy. Lonnie has served the district as a football coach for 2 years and as a tennis coach for 2 years. He spent hours after school seeing the needs of our athletes and participating in services on the sidelines at football games. Not only football games, but he was at basketball and a lot of events, wrestling. Lonnie was a staple on the sideline, making sure our athletes were taken care of and in good health conditions. The ROP over time, the course he was teaching became the CTE Therapeutic Services Program, and he will leave a telling mark on that program as he retires. 18 years for Lonnie Scott. Lisa Somavia, 7 years. Lisa started with the district as a temporary Spanish teacher in 2013. She became the activities coordinator in 2015 and has held that assignment ever since. The last 2 years, she's also been activities director. Lisa served as the safety supervisor for dances for 4 years, taught both Spanish and student government leadership classes, and provided enrichment activities for Anytime School. She also taught eco art as one of our electives. And I will say, once as an activities director and as running government and leadership, our students do a lot on our campuses, and a lot of that has to do with Lisa and her leadership and her teaching in that class. She will be missed. 7 years for Lisa Somavia. Judy Spencer, 35 years for Judy Spencer, big one. She started with the district as a full-time resource specialist in 85. In 1989, she went part-time and job shared with another teacher and did this for a number of years. Judy taught part-time for the Choices program and full-time in the REACH program. She is the REACH program. That's for 9th and 10th graders. She was instrumental in so many lives and is dedicated to just for all students and helping those students who really social emotionally were struggling. So Judy Spencer, 35 years, she will be missed. Paul Trujillo, 21 years, 1999. Paul started with the district actually in 1988 as a swim coach. And he did that in that capacity for 20 years. He was hired again in 99 as a teacher. Paul served as an Anytime School teacher for 3 years, coordinator of special education for 4 years, and he's been the special ed department chair for 6 years. Paul was also the CTA president for 2 years. Paul was instrumental to our special education department. Was a staple of our special education department. And not only that, his time during CTA president for 2 years, I really respected his leadership in that role and worked well with Paul on many different items. So thank you, Paul, at 21 years. Cheryl Williams, 1994. So she's been here 26 years. Cheryl became a business teacher in 94. Her assignments over the last 26 years range from business to math at Red Bluff High School. Cheryl served as an Anytime School summer session and assets position, and recently was a math interventionist. Cheryl Williams for 26 years. Thank you. Barb Thomas. Barb Thomas has been with us 26 years, both as a classified employee and a certificated employee. And of course, we know her as the principal of Salisbury High School. Barb started with the district as an educational assistant in 1994, became an adult, alternative ed teacher in 94, Red Bluff High School math teacher for a year, was a CalSafe director, alternative education teacher, associate principal for Salisbury, and then also, as you know her as well as the continuation principal for Salisbury. She served there for 13 years. Also served as the mall coordinator and on the negotiations team, and was on the safety committee. And she was instrumental for Salisbury High School. The program is a very successful program. Much of it is due to the leadership of Barb Thomas. Thank you, Barb. 26 years to the district. We'll move on now to classified employees who are retiring as classified. Kevin Paschke. Kevin came to us in 1995, so he's finishing his 25th year. He was hired as a technology support coordinator, a role where he is able to serve both staff and students with their technology needs. He was instrumental in helping us with our surveillance system. And I know much of our leadership at Red Bluff High School and administration look to Kevin when we need cameras and eyes on things around campus. Kevin Paschke, 25 years of service. Karen Borer. Karen, 26 years, 1994. She was hired as a special education secretary where she worked for 9 years. During that time, Karen also coached cheerleading for 5 years, worked the athletic gates, participated on numerous interview panels, volunteered for the hospitality room at the Holiday Classic tournament, served as a temporary summer special needs assistant for a year and temporary secretary in summer session for several years. In 2003, Karen became the personnel technician, district confidential 1 for the district, and moved to the district office. In July of 2005, she was reclassed to a personnel analyst, district confidential. And on July 1, 2012, after receiving her bachelor's degree, Karen's status changed to the director of human resources. She served there ever since. Karen has been in the human resource department for 17 years. Karen has been instrumental in our hiring practices and really communicating well with our staff and dealing with the human resources needs of our district. 26 years in the district, and her work as an HR director is something we will remember and we are thankful for. Thank you, Karen, 26 years. Michael Fox, 2005, 15 years. Mike was originally hired as a maintenance craft worker 3, and in May 2005, in January 2009, he became the maintenance supervisor. And then on August 2016, he became the director of maintenance operations and transportation, which has been his role ever since he took over. His involvement with the bond and current construction project has been invaluable. One thing he really wanted to do before he left was to see all these projects through, the Major J projects and all the new construction. He will be able to do that. And I know that was something that he was very proud of. And I really do thank Mike for stepping up in a director role in a time that we needed him. So thank you, Mike Fox, 15 years. Gail Martin. Gail was hired as an instructional aide in 1994, 26 years. Gail served during our Anytime School summer session for 5 years, was a track coach for 3 years, was a member on the district safety committee for 2, on the employee relations committee for 4 years, as a classified alternative representative, and a participant in the classified suggestion program, having earned a reward for her suggestion in 2012. Gail was placed in our alternative programs, including options, independent study, rebound, and of course, Salisbury, she will retire as a Salisbury instructional assistant. Gail Martin, 26 years. Barb Sprague, 2007. So Barb's been with us for 13 years. She was hired as a classified substitute educational assistant. In August of 2007, was hired as a permanent employee as an educational assistant. She was instrumental in developing the greeting card making business with the White House, and that currently is still in operation under the Achieve program. If you ever need a greeting card, Barb's the person to go see. Barb Sprague, thank you. 13 years, 2007, thank you. And last, and certainly not least, Grace Hendricks, 31 years. Grace was hired in January of 1989 for Salisbury Continuation School as a senior secretary. In July of 97, she was employed as a superintendent secretary, district confidential assistant 2, and in June of 2005, became the district office manager, administrative assistant supervisor. In her role as admin assistant to the superintendent, she has provided an immense amount of support in the area of travel, student scholarships, facilities, and school board, just to mention a few. Grace was additionally the lead for the Holiday Classic Hospitality Room for several years. Grace is the person behind the scenes at the district office. She keeps me out of trouble many times, even though I've tried. There's not another administrative assistant in the area, in the state, wherever, that has the skill and honestly the passion, the compassion and passion she has for students here at Red Bluff High School. Obviously, she will be missed. Thank you, Grace. 31 years, and if you think about the Hendricks family, it's 62 years of service to the district. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Todd. All right, and I'd like to thank all of those people for their service as well. It was amazing, a number of years. So we will move on to public comment for items not on the agenda via email. Did we have any, Grace?
No, we did not.
We did not.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll move right on into the approval of the agenda. I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Rod, I so move.
Second.
Beth, I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric Forsberg.
Rod, aye.
Okay. Can I have approval for I'm sorry, can I have a motion for the approval of the April 23rd, 2020 regular minutes?
I so move, Eric. I'll second, Seth.
Okay, any discussion about those? With no discussion, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Eric, aye.
Go
Seth,
ahead.
aye.
Rod, aye.
Okay, all right. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So move, Rod.
Eric, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on them? With no discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric. Seth, aye.
Rod, aye.
Okay, moving right on, we have Todd Brosey with superintendent's report.
You're muted, Todd.
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm muted.
There you go.
I'm muted. Okay. I have a couple items. Some will spill over into Rich's report a little bit and as far as graduation and stuff, but I'll give you kind of the nuts and bolts. So graduation update, we are going to have graduation on June 4th. It'll be a ceremony in the morning, a drive-through ceremony beginning at 9 o'clock. And actually it's a district-wide ceremony. So we will start with Salisbury High School first at 9. The way that will work is we will stage on the west side of the PAC and extend back towards the school farm with cars. Students will get out and actually line up social distancing a few at a time. And then they will walk in front of the PAC or where the arch is, and they'll have their diploma. They will have a picture, and then they will move on to the east of the PA or front of the pavilion and pick up a goodie bag that is provided to them by Sober Grad. Then they'll get back in the car and they'll proceed out of the parking lot. The board's responsibility, we have 3 board members who have kids, so we will make sure that you know where they are at and you can be part of that as they walk across to provide them their diploma. Then we will also somehow rotate board members to be in the picture for our students. Obviously, there will not be any handshaking going on, but it'll be pictures of you in the background as they get their diploma. Again, Rich may have more. We'll probably have more on that a little bit later. We will then also have a procession, but that will be in the evening at 7 p.m. We've been working with the Red Bluff Police Department. We will start at 7 in the student parking lot, and we will proceed on the homecoming route. And that way our parents, our community and family and friends can find a place and do their, honk their horn and recognize our seniors. Distance learning update. We are finishing up this Friday. Yeah.
I have a question. On those that walk before the graduation, they just meet at the parking lot?
Yeah, Rich may have I think I'll probably defer to Rich when he has his report, and he can answer maybe a little more specific questions regarding that. So,
okay.
Distance learning ends this week, the 22nd. Our students will be finishing up. Then we are currently collecting Chromebooks and currently collecting textbooks, and the teachers will be tallying the grades. And for those students who receive a incomplete, will be provided that information and what they need to complete that work. Of course, the incomplete can be removed and moved to a pass if they complete the work by June 30th. We have moved into planning for next year. We're calling it Project Resilient Spartan, Project Resilient Bulldog. We know that we're still receiving guidance from the state on how to proceed with school next year. The biggest concern is screening our employees, screening our students upon arrival, as well as the social distancing. So our plan right now is we are looking at every other day scenario for our students. So we'd be running a block schedule. Again, Rich may have more on that later. There's not the detail in it yet. It's still in concept, and we're working with our teachers. But it would provide students, half the students here on campus, and the students would have one of two tracks. And so they may be on a Monday, Wednesday, every other Friday track, or a Tuesday, Thursday, every other Friday track. But they'll be taking 4 classes a semester, not 7. And the classes would be condensed from a year-long class into a semester class. I think the best way to put it's more like a college type schedule. They'll still have 7 to 8 classes over the year. It's just 4 or 3 at a time a semester. What that does allow for us, again, is half the students here in a 14-to-1 classroom ratio. The 14-to-1 gets us in that zone for social distancing. The one concern we do have is busing. We do not have any guidelines for school busing. We do have some guidelines for transit, mass transit. And the guidelines from CDC for mass transit is a student or a passenger every other seat. If we were to do that, we would only be able to transport 14 students per bus, down from 84. So if we are able to put a student in 1 seat each, that would get us 28. So we are waiting to hear if we're going to get any more specifics on that. If we do the every other day attendance for school, we would hope that we can get 28 on the bus, because we would still probably need to have 2 drop-offs in order for that to happen. We are also working closely with Red Bluff L and Evergreen and our feeder districts about providing them this schedule, because obviously we have siblings in both districts. And so we're working to coordinate that as well. We know how to do a traditional schedule. We've been doing that for years. We will have that in the hopper if we can go back to it. But we also have this 4x4 block schedule that we are actually designing and planning right now. I found out today we did get approval from our public health. I submitted this plan Friday. Our public health director did approve our plan. As we go forward, the only condition is they want to make sure that we are screening, taking temperature of our students when they arrive. So we have ordered a number of thermometers, infrared thermometers that touchless, that we do not have to touch students. So we're developing a plan for that, but that was good news. The plan's been approved by our public health if we do this block schedule every other day. We do need some relief from the state in regards to instructional minutes and school days, and every indication that we're hearing is we're going to get that relief. We just don't know the specifics of that. More to come on that. Obviously, our June 11th meeting, we're hoping to actually bring the plan in its entirety to you to approve. Obviously, the plan, it can be edited as the restrictions are lifted or not. We'll have this as discussion. Yeah. Okay. Construction update.
Todd,
Yes.
so from what I understand is if we start this plan, we'll be stuck with it for the full year, because if you take half semester, you're stuck in that plan for the entire year.
Yes, we cannot at the high school level, because we're issuing credits, and if we take a year-long class and condense it into a semester class, we would be off track. We can't, once we're in it, we're in it. So we would not want to make that decision, until the latest we can, but we need to make a decision enough to get our teachers prepared. Whereas elementary schools can kind of vacillate between some plans because they're not tied to a graduation credit. So yes, once we start on a schedule, we will have to keep that schedule. It also allow for us, if we do get cases in our students or our staff, we would pivot quickly to a distance learning if we have to, and that will be a contingency in the plan as well. Construction update. We're almost done, guys. We're down. I think a lot of the classrooms that they were working in, I went through today, they're just down to the final details, the doors, some carpeting. We are, all the concrete work is done. The last bit is the actual student bathrooms and staff bathrooms in the center of campus. And that we are on course to finish in June. So that's been the good news of this whole thing is we're getting our construction done. Zane Schrader will have a detailed report on the June 11th meeting. The softball field, we are awaiting, the footings have been dug for the batting cage. We are awaiting the rebar and for them to start pouring that foundation. And I just want to give a big shout out to Bickert, and I think it's FB Bickert, the FC Bickert they are donating the stucco to the dugouts for free.
Cool.
So that was really cool. And so that will be proceeding. Cafeteria update, just really quick. We are going to be shutting down the cafeteria for about 10 days during summer and to fix some repairs that our contractor needs to do in some in a couple drains. But then our plan is to reopen for summer meal program for our students, as well as serving. Surf is going to be providing some pop-up locations during the summer, and we'll be providing meals for them as well. Cafeteria is also a big part of this plan if we do go every other day, and we are currently looking at our options there as far as what the reimbursement rate will be. We might be able to continue our summer meal program into the fall, which is a better reimbursement rate, which will help. But if not, then we would fall back to our CEP program, which is providing meals for all our students. So,
Hey, Todd, can I ask a quick question?
yes.
When is the date that we're ending the meal program, and when are we hoping to reopen it? I know you said 10 days.
So our goal, we need to have the construction people will be in June 5th. We will probably close June 3rd, be our last meal. June 3rd, our last meal. June 4th, a little bit of cleanup. June 5th, construction gets in, and they'll have through the 15th.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And then a state budget update. So May revise was last week, and May revise is the next step in the process of approval of a state budget. It is not the approved state budget. It's just a revision of the proposal. This is the first proposal since the COVID-19 outbreak, and it's a pretty severe picture of the loss of revenue for our state. The analysis is that over between this fiscal year and next fiscal year, it's a $55 billion shortfall in revenue. About $9 billion for this fiscal year and 45 for next fiscal year. Of course, that is a moving target because we don't know when the state will reopen. We don't know how, if it reopens, the rebound we'll have. But those are pretty conservative numbers, but that the cuts are real. What that means to education. There's a number of ways we're funded. LCFF is the biggest one. So what the governor has proposed is a 10% overall cut to LCFF. What that means is we were due for a COLA of 2.31. They're not going to fund the COLA, and then they're going to reduce by an additional 7.9%. So that's where they, or 7% around that. So that's where that 10% comes in. So if you apply the COLA formula or the LCFF formula, the new rates, to us, it's about a $1.5 million cut to LCFF. Okay, so it's not that it's a 10% increase of LCFF. It's more like almost an 8%. Oh, so there's also additional items in the budget, and one is the PERS and STIRS. As we know, the PERS and STIRS employer increases have gone up. The budget calls for a 2-year kind of reprieve of that and actually reduces the employer rates for the next 2 years. The rates, it's about a 2% decrease in the rates. That means about a $250,000, I would say savings, but we have, we're $1.5 million in cuts. So $250,000 that would help us out for each year in the next 2 years. That said, the rates go back on target after 3 years of increasing. There's also federal money that's coming through the CARES Act. There's a possibility of more money through the CARES Act that the governor's going to release, but we think he'll release that with restrictions. We don't necessarily know what those restrictions are. There, it may be for supplemental instruction, not just the base instruction. Also, the governor has said has put a trigger on this, and the trigger is it could all go away, or some of it could go away, if the federal government passes a stimulus package and provides the relief for California. So all said and done, we are looking through those right now. Dee has been spending the last, I don't know how many days and hours plugging numbers in, because we had a budget almost ready to come to you based on the January proposal. And that's all been kind of turned upside down as we plug in these new revenue projections. So what we're doing now is new revenue projections go into the budget, and then we see where we fall. And then when we bring a budget to you June 11th, we will have assumptions to try and meet the deficit, try to reduce the deficit that we will see most likely due to cuts. We are not making any recommendations right now for you tonight, but we will on June 11th when we have the budget. All that said, and that's important, we have about a $3 million reserve. So when we talk about the budget, we will talk about ways to, like I said, to have a balanced budget, but it will be probably part of reserve, part of cuts, part of some other things. So it'll be a mixed bag. But the most important thing that's probably on our minds right now is cash flow. The governor's proposal calls for a deferral of I think almost $2 billion this year, meaning they're going to defer our allocation to us into next fiscal year. And then he's going to add more next year. So next year, there'll be a $5.8 billion deferral to schools that will go into 2021-22. The importance of that is those deferrals will happen in April, May, and June of 2021. April is our big month for tax revenue. So again, a budget is a budget. Cash is what you have, right? So at that point, districts may be in a cash flow problem, and we'll have to address it. The way you address that is you can borrow from your interfund. You can also talk to the county, and the county treasury, where our money is held, can provide a loan, a short-term loan to get districts through, or you can go what they call a trans, which is basically borrowing money for cash flow. But we were on a phone today, and there is costs involved in that, and that is something that we will avoid. We don't know if we're going to need the cash in the spring. That's a big concern of ours though, is if we do, we'll have to be prepared to find a way to help with our cash flow. We're not the only district. This is something that we'll be talking about in the county-wide. So one is the revenue cut, but probably a bigger deal right now is the deferrals and the cash flow. I will stop there because that's really all I have on the state budget. The impacts will be coming when we present our budget to you on June 11th.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Anybody else? Questions? Anything? Okay, with that, we will move on to principal's report. Rich Hassey. Oh, mute.
Thanks, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Todd, for that report. I'll follow up on and give a little bit more information in a few of those areas. But first, I also wanted to start off and say congratulations to all of our retirees, and thank you as well. Many of them I started in 1990, so I've worked alongside many of these people for many years as a fellow teacher, as a counselor in the role of athletic director, and now as the principal. So we've worked together for many years and lots of great memories, and those are a lot of good people that have done many, many good things for our students over the years, and congratulations. And we wish you nothing but health and happiness as you retire. Moving forward with that, our seniors, as we all know, we've been working diligently to try to make this ending to their senior year as special as possible. And a few things, thanks to Lisa Somavia, who put together a virtual reveal and has been working with first Ben Evans and now Ryan Eckhart, and revealing those also on social media and some different platforms. So thank you for their work. I know there's more to come. I think we have 5 lined up a day and through the end of the month, I believe is what it is. So once in a while we have had small glitches. If there's any glitches, please let us know and we will take care of that as soon as possible. Also, today, scholarships came out, or was it yesterday? In the last couple of days, our scholarships have come out. Thanks to Margaret and Barb Doherty. You guys hear me okay?
That's better.
Okay. And moving away from that is wrapping up. Todd touched on grades and distance learning a little bit. This Friday is the last day for distance learning. However, students who do receive an incomplete will have until June 30th to turn that no credit into a credit, and they will be given what completed, obviously, just like any other course that you receive an incomplete in. And hopefully all of our students will work in the following week to get that done, because we really are encouraging our students to get that done and go into the next year with as many credits as possible. Also, one of our challenges this spring is going to be students returning school property. So it's difficult in years when we see the students every day. So in a year when we have not seen our students on campus since March 13th, we are really communicating through our new Aries communication system. We have some messages set to go out this weekend. Anything from textbooks, library books, Chromebooks, athletic gear, athletic uniforms, performing arts, costumes, band instruments, etc. So we're working with our teachers and our students to get those returns in the next few weeks. Graduation, I think Rod had a question. I took some notes while Todd was speaking, and one of them was, how would the students go through that and proceed rather than all show up at the same time and get in a big long line? So what we're going to do is we're going to give approximately 50 students a 30-minute time slot. So for example, we're going to start Salisbury at 9 o'clock. They're going to go through first, Todd had mentioned, and then Rebel High will start at 9:30. So we'll assign the first 50 kids in the alphabet, because when we go through a traditional graduation, we go from A to Z. And so they will show up at 9:30. The next 50 will show up at 10. So we can stagger the arrival time for kids, so we don't have 300 or 350 cars all showing up at the same time. It will help for supervision, and it will also help for physical distancing, and it will help for, kids not just getting out of their cars and having time to congregate, which isn't a bad thing, but obviously we're trying to protect the physical distancing part that we're supposed to as a school.
So Rich, sometimes in the past, the kids that have, they have the different ropes are in front. Are we not doing that this year? It's just going to be straight A to Z?
We are. I'm working with Margaret on that. We're going to have a counselor's booth, if you will, at the top of the hill there, Kathy, just to the west side of the Performing Arts Center, where the kids will get their ropes. I don't know if we're planning to put them through all together or if they'll just pick it up when they come through. We haven't really actually got that detail worked out, but I do know the kids will be wearing the traditional ropes and things that they have earned.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm saying traditionally they sit in those front rows and they are given their diplomas first. So we're not doing that this year. We're doing.
We hadn't planned on that, but we certainly can. And nothing has gone out to the students yet. That will go out next Wednesday. So I'll put that in my notes and get back to that. So
okay,
that's certainly something we can do. That's easy to arrange.
Okay.
So. And then, as Todd said, we'll have the students will get out probably about 8 or 10 at a time, one at a car, and they will stand 6 feet apart. We will have their names read, just like we traditionally do. Go through with the diploma, get a picture by Studio 530, and proceed to Silver Grad's gift bag that they have. And all this time, the family can parallel the students in the car, pictures with their cell phones from inside the car. And so working with law enforcement, as many people that there are seatbelts in the car can ride in that car. Obviously, students cannot drive because they can't get out and get their diploma and do that. So there'll have to be a driver. And we're working with families for those students who may not have a vehicle as well to accommodate those students. I'll stop there. Are there any other questions? Because we have put a lot of time in planning this, and we have most of the answers, but not all of them. This is nothing that we have done before. No? Okay.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, great. As Todd mentioned, we are diligently planning for next year. Plan A and a plan B. Plan A would obviously be a traditional start if all the factors come into place. And then we're working on a 4x4 block schedule. I know Seth had asked a question regarding once you start the year, are you committed to it? We would be committed to the block schedule, but obviously what I'm building, Seth, is something that if in October, September, or whenever we can go full go, it would still accommodate all students every day. Or if there were to be a spike and we were told to go on distance learning, it would accommodate that as well. So we're trying to build something that meets all of the regulations that we're under, but would be able to fall if we go to 100% or back to 0% of attendance. So, but as far as going from the block mid-year to a traditional, that wouldn't be possible, but we can increase or decrease the amount of students on campus. So hopefully that helps answer that question. It would also accommodate for cafeteria. I know Todd spoke briefly on transportation and cafeteria, and I won't go into all the details, but a split lunch would be necessary. So we're building in a split lunch for students, because if we have 750 on campus and we divide that in two, there's still 325. Our cafeteria can accommodate about 100 students at 6 feet apart. So we're working on other areas that students could work during that, both of those lunches. So that's a challenge to figure all that out, but we will figure out and continue to make sure our students and staff are safe. I'd also, in closing, like to thank our ag teachers. The virtual sale at the fair happened last weekend, and all reports are that it went as smoothly as possible. And I believe that all of our students were able to sell their animals, which was a big concern. And I know our ag department did a lot of work past the fair original date and to get this as a virtual online sale. So thanks to our entire ag department for working with those students and making it as successful as possible for those students. And that's all I have in my report. Okay,
thank you, Rich. So time will tell which way we go. I'm still crossing my fingers for traditional. All right, next we have Barbara Thomas from Salisbury.
Okay, so I did submit a little bit of a report. I mean, just to follow up on everything that's already been said. We've been meeting to try to plan for next year. Wendy Jury and staff and everything have been talking about the transition programs coming over, and then also how we would make an A and a B block every other day work for the continuation and the positive attendance that we need. But I think that would totally be doable. I was on a Zoom meeting this afternoon in regards to adult ed. Our consortium, which is, the Northern California, will be cut about $141,000+, but I think Shasta College is going to meet most of that. So they are not thinking that any cuts to our district specifically would be very significant, which was good to hear. So hopefully we will be able to still provide some of those adult ed services for next year without any drastic cuts. What else? Graduation. I made contact with all of the seniors that planned on walking, and they are up to date. And same thing that Rich talked about, do you have a car? Do you have a vehicle? It's quite funny how their minds work. It's like, well, I'll just fit everybody in the back of a pickup truck. And we're like, no, seatbelt per person. Yes, you need a driver, all that fun stuff that, they're trying to make it work. But no, I think they're very excited about being able to do this and the procession in the afternoon or the evening. So things are going well.
All right. Well, thank you very much. No Zane, I take it, Todd? I think your mute's on.
Thank you. Sorry. June 11th, he'll report out. And also we anticipate June 11th will be the Citizens Oversight Committee report too.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. All right, next, comments from Employees Association Representative Chris Sinclair. Do you have anything to say?
I have nothing. I was just told I need to be here and listen.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. Board members, reports and or concerns. What are we thinking out there, everyone? Well, I can say I just hope our graduation goes as smooth as possible for the seniors. So that's kind of what's on my mind. All right, with that, let's go move on to curriculum and instruction. I need a motion to approve the adoption of textbook for honors chemistry.
Yeah, I so move.
Second,
Second.
okay. Any discussion?
This was the public hearing last month to review the adoption of a textbook. So this is the recommendation from our science department. And what that means moving forward is this will be the new textbook, and we'll proceed with using that as budget allows.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
As long as there's a consensus, a consensus amongst those people looking at the book, I'm okay with that.
They reviewed that, and that was in last month's, and this is coming straight from the science teachers. They got to review 2 different textbooks, and they chose the one that we're approving. Correct, Todd?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. So they know they're choosing the book that they wanted, I believe.
Yes, you are approving the recommendation.
Yeah, okay. So any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Aye, Eric. Seth, aye.
Rod, aye.
Okay. Kind of a motion for the approval of the adoption of textbook for bioscience college prep biology.
Yeah, I'll so move again, Eric. I'll second Seth.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay, without any discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Aye, Eric. Aye, Seth.
Rod, aye.
All right. Personnel, can I have a motion for the approval of educational behavior assistant?
Prior to making that motion, I should have informed you earlier, Kathy, but this is going to be tabled. We have some work to do with our CSEA unit just to clean up some things. So I wouldn't even have an.
Okay, so I can rescind that, and we'll table that until June 11th.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion for the approval of the revised job description for district office manager administrative assistant.
So moved, Seth.
Wait a second.
Eric, second.
Okay, and discussion?
So this is the position that Grace is leaving behind, and so we just took the time to make some edits and bring it up to speed. There's no really big changes. This position does report to the superintendent, but it's primarily the office manager for the CBO and the superintendent. But we just wanted to take the time to kind of clean it up a little bit.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Aye, Eric. Aye, Seth.
Rod, aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the approval of a job description for Director of Transportation?
Also move, Eric.
Can I have a second?
Second, Rod.
Second, Seth.
Okay. Discussion?
So we have the retirement of Mike Fox, who's the Director of Maintenance, Operation, and Transportation. We're proposing, rather than to hire that position, is actually we have a chance for a savings here in the future, and that is taking the MOT and splitting it into two positions. We already have a transportation supervisor and we have a maintenance supervisor. So instead of having a transportation supervisor, maintenance supervisor, and a director of maintenance operations and transportation, is to make the transportation a director and a maintenance a director, they opt that way. We split the duties of a director. We're not going to pay the full amount of a director of an MOT. We will bring forward with you when we bring the budget what that looks like as far as a salary schedule for the two. But we feel we can save some money. And if we do have to hire, we can hire in the craftsman area where we need field work. Currently, right now, the director of MOT doesn't do a lot with transportation. I mean, they oversee it, but really the transportation supervisor is supervising all mechanics, all bus drivers, and the maintenance supervisor is supervising all maintenance people. That what would pick up with the maintenance would be the custodial staff. So we feel this is the first step in kind of splitting those two. We would eliminate the directorship, the director of MOT, which is a higher salary than these other positions, and it allows us to save money. And so the supervisory positions would in essence go away and become directors, but they wouldn't be very high on the salary schedule as an MOT. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a chance to save some money and kind of reallocate reallocate the duties accordingly, and not just having one person oversee everything. So this would be the first step. You would approve the job description, and then we would, upon the retirement of the director of MOT, we would come with a plan. We would come with a salary schedule that would look like for the supervisors who would be promoting to a directorship or the directorship. So does that make sense?
Yes. All right, so any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
Okay, next, can I have a motion to approve the job description for the Director of Maintenance and Operation?
So moved, Seth. I'll second, Eric.
Okay, and I think Todd pretty much explained that the last time. So any other questions about that? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
All right, down to General Administration. Can I have a motion for the approval of RBHS Administrative Regulation and Exhibit 1312.4 Williams Uniform Complaint Procedures?
Also move, Eric. Second, Seth.
Okay, discussion?
No, this is a second reading. So
Okay, all right. All those in favor? Call
Aye,
for the vote. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
All right. Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of RBHS Administration Regulation 1340, access to district records?
So moved.
Second, Rod.
Okay, discussion? All right. Yeah, these are all second readings.
these are all second readings.
Yeah, last month. Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
All right. I can have a motion for the approval of RBHS Board Policy 3100 budget.
Also move, Eric. I'll second, Seth.
Okay, discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Rod, aye.
Okay, a motion for the approval of RBHS Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 3260, fees and charges.
So moved,
I
Seth.
Rod.
Rod, do you second? Okay. Any discussion? If no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
All right, I have a motion for the approval of RBHS Board Policy 3515.4, recovery for property loss or damage.
Also move, Eric. I'll
Second,
second, Seth.
okay, discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
Okay, and can I have a motion to approve RBHS Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 4030, non-discrimination in employment?
I so move, Rod.
I'll second, Seth.
Okay, discussion? No discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Aye, Kathy?
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
All right, and can I have a motion for approval of CSBA Board Policy 4113.5, 4213.5, 4313.5, working remotely?
Yeah, also move, Eric.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy,
Aye.
aye.
Seth, aye.
Rod, aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve RBHS Administrative Regulation 5125.2, withholding grades, diploma, or transcripts?
So moved, Seth.
Second, Eric.
Okay, any discussion? With no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Eric, aye.
Seth, aye.
Rod, aye.
Okay, a motion for the approval of CSBA Board Policy 6157, distance learning.
I'd like to move that we accept 6157.
Okay,
I'll second, Seth.
okay. Discussion on this. I don't know if everyone took the time to go through this. I thought it was interesting that we must be aware of people working from home and being injured at home. That's I found that to be a little bit interesting. So knowing that, I mean, I just think we have to be aware and make safety first to all the employees, even when they're not at school.
Right, and it will be soon a part of their training. They're mandated about if we're going remotely of what that is. So there'll be a training component to our staff as well.
Okay.
Todd, what does that mean as far as equipment? Because it says we have to provide internet connection and equipment to everybody.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to handle that. Like what we're currently right now doing is for those who, and again, if they're required to work at home. So during this COVID thing, we've had staff, what we've offered staff is if they need a device we would provide them a Chromebook or a laptop. If they have internet connectivity, but can come into work, because you can still come to work and not be exposed to the social distancing, they are using their rooms. It would be, for example, if they need to stay at home for their elderly or their childcare or whatever, then we would have to work on an alternative mean to give them service. Doesn't mean service at home, we service somewhere relatively close to home or whatever, but we would have to work with them on that. But we don't automatically have to give them all of that just because they're remotely working. The remote working would be for that's they have to be at home, and not everyone has to be at home in this COVID-19.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, Todd, does that apply to like substitutes and any other fill-in kind of positions?
No, that has to do with, let me just pull it up really quick. So
I just didn't see anything in there where it addressed it, and I know that sometimes we may utilize those resources.
It's Jay.
Yeah, just a second. Give me a second.
It's Jay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just a remote view of things. Are we still on?
Okay, so yeah, just to refer, this has, if this employee is required to work at home and they're required to have access to technology, and that would just, in our work, that would just be teachers or counselors, wouldn't be classified staff that, EAs or anything like that. So, or our supervisory. So it's not all employees, it's only employees who would be, required to have access to technology to perform their essential function.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Seth, aye.
Rod, are you out there?
Rod, eye. Yeah, Rod, eye. I think you can hear me still.
Okay. All right. I need a motion for the approval of RBHS board bylaws and exhibit 9323.2 actions by the board.
What's the move, Eric?
I'll second, Seth.
Okay. Discussion. All right. Without any further discussion, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
Can I have a motion for the approval of Red Bluff Union High School Comprehensive School Safety Plan, including pandemic planning for 2019, 2020? Anyone want to move?
I'll make that motion, Seth.
Yeah, I'll second. I just wish we didn't
I'll
have it.
second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, so we're required every April actually to revise or update our school safety plan if it needs to be. We obviously are in the middle of the COVID-19, so we took it upon ourselves to actually come up with an amendment for the pandemic. So part is a requirement that we do revise and approve, and then we took the time to put a amendment in it for the pandemic, the covered pandemics.
Okay,
Couple
All right.
questions.
Yeah.
I noticed you have your operations chief is Mike Fox, logistics is Mike Fox. I've been an operations chief a number of times in those types of situations, and I can't see how you could be both. So I was wondering, it would make more sense to have different people in logistics and operations on your emergency response teams.
Good question, Seth. So we're required to have emergency response team, incident command system, ICMS. But what happens with us is there's so many positions that sometimes we end up lumping things together. So that was one area where maybe some of the potential of those duties cross over. Of course, we hope to never use this, but that's really one of the reasons is we have limited people. And so it ends up being plugging them where they could be. We can certainly look at that, and it might be a good time to look at. Obviously, Mike Fox is retiring, and how we structure that. But I understand your point. And then it just comes down to how many people we have who can put in those positions.
Right.
okay. All right. Rod, you're killing me right now.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, all those that want an Oreo, go to Rod's house. Okay, so with no further discussion, I will call for the vote. And all those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Your mute's on. You're
You're muted, Rod.
I don't know. What should I tell? Oh, there you go. You're back on.
Can we get Jacob to go to Rod's house whenever
Rod,
we do these
eye.
things?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of Salisbury High School Comprehensive Safety Plan for 2019, 2020?
Yeah, also move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, without any further discussion, call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
All right, can I have a motion for an approval of adoption resolution 2020-3, resolution authorizing Red Bluff Joint Union High School District to combine associated student body funds of the class of 2020 and the Red Bluff Community Sober Grad Organization to purchase graduation memorabilia?
Yeah, also move, Eric.
I'll second it, Seth.
Okay, any discussion?
Why?
Thank you.
Why again is that? It's Rod.
Todd, you're muted.
Todd, you're muted. There you go.
Okay, so yeah, so we
why-
have, every year we have Sober Grad, and Sober Grad is an event that's after graduation, obviously, and they raise money and they provide events for a sober and safe place for graduates. Obviously, we're not doing that this year because of the COVID-19. So the Sober Grad community met and coordinated with ASB to combine the funds in order to provide you know, a memorabilia bag that they will hand out at graduation.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, what's the value of that bag and how much was combined with those two accounts?
So by combining those accounts, let me just get that from Dee real quick.
I think I can probably answer that, Todd, pretty close if you want.
There's a $40,000 in those combined accounts now, and Rich maybe can speak to it. But some of that money will be like some of that money from Sober Grad will carry over. They've allotted some to carry over to next year's committee.
Okay, good.
The graduating class, allotting some for the freshman class. So it's what's being used is around $35,000 is what I believe for their bag.
Okay, the senior class needs to empty out their fund by the end of the year because that needs to be spent on the kids. So without a senior trip this year, that's what some of that money was going to be spent on. So they donated $1,000 to the incoming freshman class to get them started, and then sent the balance to Sober Grad so it could be spent on all the students.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Aye, Kathy.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
Okay, can I have a motion for approval to move the independent study program from Monroe Street to 1050 Kimball Road, Red Bluff, Salisbury High School campus, and the use of the Salisbury High School CDS code for the independent study program?
I also move, Eric.
I'll second, Seth.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, a little explanation here. So what our proposal is, currently right now, the independent study program is part of Red Bluff High School. And it is located on Monroe Street, which is a separate building that we lease. So we are currently paying $30,000 annually for that lease. We've been doing that for the last few years. With the REACH program and this teacher retiring from REACH, we kind of took a comprehensive look at all alternative programs to try and make some changes to meet the needs that face our district right now. With ISP, it's an independent program, and under Red Bluff, there was a couple things that were happening that were complicated. And one is we offered a blended program where students would take some ISP courses and some main campus courses. And we were noticing that was becoming difficult to kind of monitor and control. And so students would oftentimes take advantage of that and take courses that really just shouldn't have been taking or meeting their schedule. So that was one issue. The other issue is we're trying, at one point we were trying to offer A to G courses through ISP, but that requires a teacher of that subject. And so at ISP, we have a math teacher, English teacher, social science teacher. So yeah, we could offer those, maybe some A to G courses in those specific areas, but that would be it. And then we also know that ISP as an alternative education really is meant for those kids who have something in their lives that they need adjustment and they need a different schedule. And it's not necessarily that for A to G. So we also thought that, moving move it to the alternative education site and under the CDS code, and CDS means county district school. So it's underneath the school code for Salisbury. It would truly fit that alternative setting. And then moving them physically, this made sense. The Reach building is going to be ideal for the ISP teachers and that program. It all makes sense. And really I put in our recommendation that obviously no A to G courses would be offered. ISP students would participate in Salisbury High School graduation, but they will also be part of their calendar and their schedule because they fall under that schedule. They would not be participating in Red Bluff High School sports because they wouldn't be part of Red Bluff High School, but also through the Acellus program, which is what they use for ISP, they would be able to offer more flexibility of elective courses. And that's something that would benefit those kids. And then of course, there'd be some flexibility with Salisbury students as well, or students who are looking for an alternative method of learning. So with that, we decided as a component of our alternative education that we would move ISP over to Salisbury and then be part of the Salisbury. There'd be a savings of $30,000, obviously, for the leasing of the building, but there would be no additional staff.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Aye, Kathy.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Hi, Rod.
Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of the expelled youth program?
I should move that, Rod.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So this is the second or the third, the second component to our alternative setting. Obviously, we have Salisbury over there. Then we have ISP, but we have seen a recent uptick in expulsions in our district. A lot of it regarding controlled substance, and much of it is at the 9th and 10th grade level. So what we are proposing is we had been thinking about, and we had budgeted a Spartan Care program or class on Red Bluff High School. We think we should reallocate that over to Salisbury and provide this expelled youth program. Number one, when you expel, whether it's a stipulated expulsion or an actual, full expulsion, you need to expel to a different school. Yes, Salisbury has been our expulsion place. But oftentimes expelling into Salisbury, it doesn't fit the program. It's just, that's a continuation high school. So by providing this expel program, we can expel them into that program. That program will receive instruction, small group instruction, have a drug and alcohol component to it, as well as some other a character component. That way they can serve out their full term of their expulsion and then return after they've completed the term of the expulsion. It would also, again, allow for some flexibility for Salisbury when we have students who we need to move to an alternative setting and we're limited due to capacity. So that would bring all those programs over to Salisbury. We do have a room over there, a classroom that we have taken a look at that would fit that need. So by doing this and approving this is allowing us to move do the final piece, what we think of the alternative program of expelled youth under the Salisbury CDS code.
Okay. Any other discussion? Count call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Rod? No, Rod, you're mute. I guess that's an aye. There you go.
Hi.
Okay.
Am I on?
Yeah, now you're on. Okay, can I have a motion for approval of the adoption of resolution 2020-5, electing to be subject to section 22895 to establish health vesting requirements for future annuitants under the Public Employees Medical and Hospital Care Act with respect to a recognized employee organization.
So moved, Seth.
I'll second. I can't get the thing to pull up.
Kathy, you've been muted for some reason.
Yeah, my dog's going crazy. So anyways, we're gonna go, any discussion?
Yeah, let me explain. So we've, this is the move, CSEA's move to CalPERS for healthcare. CalPERS is governed by Government Code Section 22895. And so there's a couple things that we have to do to assurance that we meet the government code section. So when a person retires in CalPERS and we have CalPERS healthcare insurance, the retirees have a right for that healthcare. And they also have a right that we contribute, the district contributes towards that healthcare. So, and so there's actually minimum requirements in that code that the district must adhere to. And that requirement is that we pay at least $1 a month for the retiree if they take the retiree healthcare. If they don't take the retiree healthcare, the district doesn't pay. That $1 a month would increase annually, not by very much, but it would increase annually until as long as that person is taking retiree healthcare. Now, there's two things that you're doing tonight. One is the resolution that simply states we're going to adhere to that code. Okay. But what we're doing is for those who are already retired or retired before October 1st, they will get, if they take healthcare, they will get the minimum of $1 a month that we contribute. However, for those who retire October 1st and after, we are putting them on a vesting schedule, meaning they have to work here at least 50 years in order for us to give them the $1 for their healthcare. Okay. So it's what it's doing is we can't do anything. We have to make the minimum payment for those who already retired and choose to take retiree health care. But here going forward, they have to work the 50 years. Okay, that's the first, the resolution just simply says we're doing that. The next item is the MOU that's actually we had to bargain with the CSEA to approve. Now, this doesn't contractually, the district, if a CSEA employee works 10 years in a row, consecutive years, and are 55, they will get what the active employee gets towards their health care. So it's not that plus $1. And actually they wouldn't receive $1 because they have to be here 50 years. But what I'm saying is does not affect their contractual obligation for contributing towards the retiree. So this is really it's required, it's in the law that we meet the requirement under the government code 22895. You have a resolution, and then your next item would be the MOU that we negotiated with CSEA.
Okay, so should we pass them together then or separately?
You can, if someone wants to make a motion to blanket those two, that would be fine.
Why don't we do that? Can we have a motion for both P and Q?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any further discussion? Is everybody good? All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Seth.
Rod, aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to reject the claim for injury or property damage from Tanya Paul?
I'll make that motion. Seth.
I'll second Eric.
Okay, any discussion? All right, with no
Oh,
further.
Do we ask what it is?
I'm
What
sorry,
the
Rod,
claim is?
that was covered in closed session, which we lost you on. So no, we can't in open session.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Kathy, aye.
Hi, Eric.
Seth, aye.
Okay,
Yeah, I withhold a response.
Abstain? Okay.
abstain. Rod abstain. Okay, next up for proposal and discussion, we would like a safety update.
Well, we just did the safety plan. I think that was probably the update. And but I will mention that we did a lot of work with our nurse, Carrie Roth, Ryan Veracruz, the admin staff on developing this plan for reopening. And they've been very helpful. in my email to the staff, I said, everyone's answered the bell. Safety is first in regards to trying to reopen for our students, for our employees. And we'll continue to work on that plan. But like I said, today, our public health did approve that plan with the recommendation of screening all students with checking their fever before we start school. So thank you to everybody involved in that.
Okay. And next, how about the solar update?
Yeah, Rod, this is for you. We did. We got a very thorough plan of moving forward by our Clean Capital, which purchased our PPA agreement for solar field. They did hire hired an outside or third party to come in and look at the field and develop scenarios to make improvements. They did in our conference call 2 weeks ago, they admitted that they did not know the deficiency of this operation as far as the solar when they bought it. And so now they realize that there's a lot of work to be done. The good part about it is they're willing to do the work. They want to do the work. So they came up with 4 scenarios to improve the output. Scenario 1 is just start all over, replace everything. Obviously, that's the most expensive to do, but that is one scenario. Scenario 2,
Something they would do they would pay for, or would pay for?
yeah, maybe if I can, I'll present and I'll cover that in my presentation, and we can follow up with questions. Scenario 2 is just to look at new modules and inverters and fix the tilt system. So it's not starting all new, but it's making upgrades to those specific trackers and to try and make sure that we're tracking the sun. Scenario 3 is to go ahead and replace the inverters as a fixed tilt and upgrade the tracking if they can. So that has to do with the modulars, the inverters, and using new equipment. Scenario 4 is replace the inverters and upgrade all trackers. In my conversations with them, they feel right now they'd like to go between a 3 and a 4. Obviously, for them to replace everything in scenario 1 is it's not necessarily. They have systems that are working, so that wouldn't necessarily be the most effective way to go. But to look at 3 and 4, and actually 3 and 4 is upgrading trackers. They think instead of just fixed mounting everything, like in scenario 2, is actually they can do some fixed tilts, but then the trackers that aren't too bad, they can fix and get more output. According to the report, if you look at actually what will be produced, their anticipation of production from this, as I scroll down to it. Okay, scenario 1 and that's replacing everything. A megawatt production would be 1,597 with a capacity kilowatts of 725. That would compare, if you look at the capacity kilowatt of 725, that would compare to the original, when we started this thing years ago, the original production was 739. So that's pretty close. But again, that's replacing everything. Scenario 2 would be a 720 capacity kilowatt. Scenario 3 would be 724, and scenario 4 would be 719. Keep in mind, we are not reaching anywhere near that right now. Okay, so we would be pretty close to the original, but outdoing what we're doing now. So they feel very confident that they can get this thing running much, much better with these improvements. Now we are in a PP power purchase agreement. There isn't a cost. The cost is on Clean Capital to make these improvements. Okay. However, there is a clause in our contract that allows for us to discuss an extension of our power purchase agreement, an extension in years. So they just faxed over or just emailed over today some proposals for the extension. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Dia and I haven't had a chance to look at it. But the cost isn't necessarily passed along in our rates, but it's passed along in adding additional years to our contract with them. I have asked for them to provide a timeline because we want to know how long this would take and when it would take. And they said they're close to that. I hope to have it in the next month. But we are seeing, this is the most we've seen out of this company. They did put a lot of money and effort into the study, and they think they can definitely increase the output that we have, and do it and just ask for an extension on their. Okay, I don't have any questions now, Ron.
One question is, what are we putting out? 400 kilowatt right
Yeah,
now?
let me pull up an email really quick because I just she emailed me, I think, another comparison. So if you hang tight, I will pull that up.
Thank you.
So we. Did it come? Yeah, okay. So in terms of megawatts, the original system estimate was 1,808. The observed output right now is 964. So it's operating at half of what it should be doing. Scenario 1 would be 1,409. Scenario 3 would be 1,467. Scenario 4 would be 1,520. So it doesn't get us quite to the original estimate, but it's much, much more than what we have now. So I will forward this to you and the board. It's just a quick production scenario, so you can have that was sent to me today. So
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Todd.
Would this also include the panels that are over at Salisbury or just the ones that are at Red Bluff?
You know, Barb, I'll have to ask that question. I'm assuming it's both because they're both part of the PPA, but I'll get that clarification.
Okay, thanks.
They did refer to Salisbury in their report.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. I would assume it is because we are part of the same PPA.
Okay, so how about any other questions on that? Okay, we'll move on to CSBA AR 5131.41, use of seclusion and restraint.
Yep, I have some information for you all on that. Let me get to my note page. Okay, so as I said last time, the seclusion and restraint really stems around a law, and much of the language, as I researched it, the language in the policy is taken right out of the law, and the concern is of having holds and restraints or seclusions on students that is going to cause harm to them. When I did a little more research and to Eric's question about, we don't want to limit our staff on making, handling a situation and providing force that we need to do for the safety of students, staff, and everybody involved. The use of necessary force is there, and there are provisions on restraints and interventions, but the policy does allow for use of behavior restraint to control a student behavior as it's appropriate. And also the policy defines behavior restraint as including mechanical or physical restraint. It does not limit the use of prone, putting a student in a prone position. If we do go to a prone position, which is face down, hands behind the back, then we should have a second person monitoring that student breathing, and if they breathing and how they're and how long we're going to hold them in that prone position. Now, again, that's primarily for students who have behavior support plans, who we our teachers and classified staff has been trained on specific holds. So it does allow for us to use a prone. If we do go to a prone, we have to make sure that someone is there monitoring the students breathing, and because this policy and law is a result of some deaths that have happened in schools, on prolonged prone positions that should not have happened. The main takeaway is that we are using best practices, and that that we train our staff that if they need to put hands on that we do it with the least restrictive. But if there is an imminent danger to a threat to somebody, that we can go into a prone position, but we just have to make sure that we're not sustaining that for a long period of time, and putting the student's health in jeopardy. The policy, again, if the policy mirrors the law. So if you don't have the policy, it falls back to the law. So either way, we have to inform our staff and train our staff that by all means necessary not to put them in a prone position unless it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Eric? Is that?
Yeah, thank you for addressing that. Is that, I don't remember the code section that we spoke of last time, but we talked about having it referenced in this regulation.
Oh yes, I did not put that in that. I can, because it's still a first reading, so I can actually do that before our second reading.
I think that'd be great. I think it'd also give a little peace of mind to the people when they're reading it to say, well, we have other provisions in the law and the codes that say that define what we can and can't do as well.
Yes, good point.
Okay. All right, next we have RBHS Board Policy 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees.
So this is just bringing up to speed. This policy hasn't been updated in quite a while. Primarily, it makes sure that we're defining between a complaint against an employee or if it's actually a discriminatory complaint that follows another procedure, which would be the uniform complaint procedure. It also provides how to specifically file a complaint with the against superintendent and that process, and how the board would respond to that.
Okay, thank you. And then RBHS Administrative Regulation 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees.
So that's just the exhibit that would go along with that.
Okay. All right, RBHS Board Policy 3540, transportation.
So this is updating our transportation in regards to contracts and transportation services, and the option to pay parents in excess or in lieu of if they are required to have transportation. Our district, it's not a requirement to provide transportation unless it's related to the student's IEP. But this also allows the district authority to transport students without parent or guardian permission when an evacuation of students is necessary. For example, if we have to take the students off site in case of maybe a shooting on campus and we need to evacuate and reunify, we don't necessarily have to have permission, obviously, from the parents to do that. On field trips, yes, we need permission. On items that we're going to go off campus that aren't mandated or in an evacuation situation, we would need permission slips.
Okay. And G, discussion of Project Resilient Spartans and Resilient Bulldogs reopening plan for August 2020. We kind of already discussed this. Is there anything that needs to be added?
I don't think so, Kathy. I think we are adding to that plan as it develops. So, for example, we just got approval from the public health, so with a recommendation. So we'll update our plan there. We will address students' disabilities, English learners, those things in our plan. I will just add one thing, that sports is now getting some direction. CIF has the section office had put the future of fall sports in the hands of the league. So we are in the EAL. So a group of administrators are getting together from Red Bluff, Shasta and Chico, since we're pretty much the ones that make up the EAL, to start discussing how we want to proceed. There's also been some guidance nationally on how to proceed with practices. Don Ray, who is our newly hired athletic director and athletic administrator, is already on that and developed a plan, has been working with Rich. So that is happening as well. And we will end up, that'll be part of this whole plan as we go forward. But it is promising that there'll be some activity in the fall. And we'll update you as you go.
Okay, thank you. And that's encouraging. I'm hopeful that we can still have sports, obviously.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any items for future agendas from anyone? When can we go live? I mean, are we going to get together on June 11th back in the boardroom, or I know some other schools have done that.
Yeah, I think so, Kathy. I think that's doable. And again, it's a couple weeks away, but I think we can adhere to social distancing and get back to that.
Okay. All right. With that, no need for closed session. We'll adjourn the meeting at 7:11.
Thank you, everybody.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy your Oreos.